tremble before the utility of my promo Luffy. Now your strikers are mere mortals before its power. I actually am not using a striker right now. That's fine. See how useless your cards are against it. Seriously, I have no strikers. That can't be right. Let me see your board. Go ahead. I see. Not a single striker, but if you had one, it would be rendered useless by my promo Luffy's valor. But I don't. So, it's not good? Okay. It's a draw. This time. Okay. Whatever makes you feel better. So, you guys know what it is. It's Trash Tuesday. We're going to be talking about the Monkey D. Luffy promo. You guys know which one I'm talking about. The bad one, not the good one. I have a couple of them here. We got these. So first off, I know everybody's thinking, but it's immune to strikers. And if you look here, this is just one of every single striker in the game, right? One of every single one. So that seems like a pretty big card pool, right? Until you look at the fact that right here, all that right there is unplayable, right? Under the current meta, none of this stuff is seeing any play whatsoever. And as I'm going to talk about, there's almost no other strikers that you would want to be swinging in to a rested promo Luffy with a Dawn on him. So you're almost just wasting your time by even running it, okay? So just to go over a few of the strikers that we have Tony Chopper, okay, in red. So of course, you know what I do when I have a easy, effective, good blocker? I want to load it up with 4 Dawns, so almost half my turn, so that I can swing into a 5k. So, okay, it protects you against Tony Chopper, right? That's great. You have Monkey D. Luffy, okay? That's actually pretty good because he's a rusher. He can swing in. But for the most part, you're going to want to be swinging for life with Luffy anyway. You have Sanji. He gets rushed when you put 2 Dawn on him. Good card, right? But the major thing is you want to be swinging at better targets. So just because it makes it so that he's immune to Sanji, it's only going to come up very few times. You have Nico Robin. Nico Robin, amazing card. It protects you against it. It can still kill it. Like, let's say if you Otama, then you can still kill it because it doesn't negate Nico Robin's effect. Then you have Sanji, right? And he's at 3k, so you have to be investing Dawn. Then you have Beppo, which is basically Robin, but it's a 2k and only has 2k power, and it's not a straw hat, so it's harder to find. I like the card because it's 2k counter, right? So these are basically your best case scenario for this being protected in red. All right, and then you have the cards that semi get played in red. So you have the other Monkey D. Luffy, which is the better one of these. When you put 2 Dawn on him, this character cannot be KO'd in battle, and you can give this character up to 2 rested Dawn cards, right? So he uses your Dawn, so he's going to be swinging at 5 with Dawn that you already used to play something, and he also becomes immune to strikers, so he's generally a better card, and he also has counter. So it's just like, if you're going to be doing this plan, this is going to be a better thing. The only issue is that when he turns sideways, he still only has 3k power, which makes it so that he's easier to get rid of. But for the most part, this is also super easy to get rid of, and it doesn't use Dawn that you weren't going to be using anyway, okay? And then you have other Monkey D. Luffy, the other Rush Luffy, 6, 7k, put 2 Dawn on him, this character gains Rush. One of the major issues, he'd be good if he had counter on him. He doesn't have counter on him, which makes it so that generally you're going to want to be running this Luffy because he becomes unblockable as well. So, you know, I don't particularly like that card as Luffy, but people do play him. Then you have the good promo Luffy, 2k counter, probably the reason, that's basically the reason why he's good. 2 Dawn, and then he gains plus 2,000 power. He's swinging for 7k, right? And as we know, 7k is the magic number. And then we have Jinbei, and the only reason why I even mentioned Jinbei is because maybe someone would want to play this. If you put 1 Dawn on him, on block, play up to 1 red card with a cost of 2 or less from your hand. We already went over that in the blocker video. And then you have regular Jinbei, 3, 1 Dawn. When attacking, your leader or one of your characters gets 1,000 plus this turn. He's okay. I would prefer Zoro over him. So there you go. That is red. That's everything that is playable as a striker in red. And these are the cards that you might actually see. These are the cards that every once in a while you might see because somebody really likes those. This is something you'll see more than these ones, mostly because it is also a 2k counter, okay? And then let's move on to the strikers in green. So you have Yamato, okay? Because you know what, when I resolve a Yamato that is double attack and banish, I want to swing at a rested 5k. That's the thing that I like to do with Yamato personally. If I did that, if I was playing Yamato, which I actually don't play Yamato, even though it is a good card. I'm not saying that it's a bad card. I just think that there's better options in green, but it is busted. I mean, I've been defeated by Yamatos before. I have a complicated relationship with Yamato because I think it needs a little extra, and then it would be busted. Then you have Beppo, which is almost never sees play, okay? And then you have Sachi and Penguin. And most people will play Beppo, it's only for the 2k counter. And then you have Sachi and Penguin, which these see a little bit of play, but why would you want to swing a blocker into a 5k? You'd prefer to just leave it up to block. And this is literally every single striker that you're going to probably ever run into in green, and none of these are in almost every single green deck like you would see with a 8-drop Kid, an Okiku, or a Raizo for some, Basil Hawkins, or Eustace Captain Kidd. All these cards I run, and none of them have problems with taking out this Luffy, right? So against green, you only have a couple cards, and none of these cards are cards that you even want to be swinging into, because if you resolve a Yamato and you're using the Yamato to do board control, then you miss the point of Yamato. Yamato, you just swing for face. That's it. Yamato is a face swinging fool. You got to be swinging for face with it. We're moving on to purple, and for purple, there's a few more cards. Both of the Kaidos are strikers, so it protects you from both the Kaidos. That's good. But the other thing is, this Kaido is just going to blow it up when it comes in. And if you really want to, you can also blow it up with this Kaido as well. In purple, they can just blow it up with King if it's too much of a problem. And King doesn't actually, he's not a striker, so he can just come in and swing at it if you really want to. So it's just, there's almost nothing that you can do. And then Queen, you're only going to see them swing when they're trying to take you out. Like, that is usually, they hold the Queen up until they're ready to go for life, and then they start turning the blockers sideways, and until that time, you're just going to leave it up because Queen is great for chump blocking, for example, Luffy, right? Because you only have to do like a 1k counter to keep him alive. And under that circumstance, these are like the staples that are played in purple that could be protected against it, minus Queen. And then you have page 1's a maybe. He can attack non-rested characters, which is a good ability. The only thing is generally if you're going to be playing page 1, you're going to be getting 2 bodies off of it because you're going to be running this ulti too, which this ulti is ran a lot. Mostly because it's a 2k counter, minus 1 Dawn, and then you can play ulti and a page 1 that costs 4 for 4. So that is good because it gets you multiple bodies on the field. Most of the time when you have these 2 out, this being on the board isn't going to be that big of a problem because they got 2 on the board for the same cost, right? And they're swinging for, they're swinging for 2 life every single turn, taking out every single other thing on your board. If they are using this page 1, then they can attack your non-rested stuff. And even these don't see a ton of play with the exception of ulti because it's a 2k counter, right? And then we have the jacks. You got regular jack, thirst trap jack, they're the same card. When attacking, -1 Dawn, and you cause your opponent to discard a card. Very good. The only issue is you can only minus so much Dawn, so he's a flex spot, but a lot of people don't like him because he's constantly minusing your Dawn, so you have to be playing a Dawn recovery deck to make him really pop off. And for the most part, people aren't going to be doing that. I think now with the new film deck stuff, you could actually play that. But if you guys want me to talk about like how you could utilize Jack with the new film cards, I'll talk about that in a different video. Then you have Zephyr. So it's protecting itself against Zephyr once per turn, -1 Dawn. When this character battles strike attribute characters, this character gains 3,000 power this turn. And then activating once per turn, -1 Dawn. Character gains 2,000 power during this turn. He's pretty strong. He's swinging for 10 most of the time, and he's swinging for 13 against strike attribute characters, which makes it so that in this scenario, like someone's running a Zephyr, it's okay, but they can easily play around it because you're swinging 10 for face, or you're swinging 8 for face, or you're just putting 1 Dawn on it, right? And you're swinging 9 for face, which 9 is the next magic number because it makes it so they have to use an event and a counter to take it out. And then you have Urashima. He's 7 for a 9k body. I've seen people play him. He is not by any means a staple that everyone's playing. He's just somebody that people throw in because 7 for a big body. And as I went off, the 9k is kind of the magic number when you're swinging for face. Other than 7, which 7's the first magic number and then goes to 9. Okay? And then we got ulti, which you have to be putting more Dawn on ulti to even be able to swing at face to it. And for the most part, all ulti does is ramp you, right? Which is really good, because on play, if you pay a Dawn, add up to 1 Dawn from your Dawn deck and rest it. So it does the same thing as like Onigashima, but it's still outside of the range that you're going to be wanting to swing into too many things, except for like smaller things, like if you rested a chopper, one of their chump blockers, or a searcher or something. And then you have the other Jack, Ramp Jack. On play, you may trash card from your hand, add 1 card from your Dawn deck, and set it as active. So in all of purple, these are the cards that you're going to be seeing sometimes. And the amount, and here are the staples that you're going to be seeing if they're running a Kaido or a King. And then here are the flex spots that you're going to be seeing if you're running a Kaido or a King. So it protects a little more against that, but like I said, you still can take it out with King. You can take it out with Rush Kaido, and if they're playing big Kaido, it's blown up anyway. So it's just not something that you want to be running in, like playing, because it doesn't even have a blocker. All right, and then for blue, all right, we're going to go into blue, and you have Virgo. Virgo is a flex spot. Some people really like him. Some people prefer kind of like the pacifista style with like Barto Kuma. Virgo, what he does is he's 5 for 7k. He's the magic number. He has a counter on him. He's a pretty good card. He's somebody that you're going to see sometimes, but there's a lot of people who don't particularly like him because you are giving up a slot that you could be putting in a card with an actual ability, okay? So then you have Bartholomew Kuma. He's a blocker. On KO, play up to 1 Pacifista with a cost of 4 or less from your hand. That's good. He replaces himself if he gets killed. That's a very good thing to do. And then we have Mr. Bon Clay. He's generally only played in the blue-purple Crocodile, because what he does is look at the top 5 cards of your top deck, reveal 1 Brokeworks type's event card, add it to your hand, then place the rest of the bottom of your deck in any order. The reason why he works in Crocodile is because in Crocodile, you're drawing off of events. Almost every other deck, though, you're going to want to be playing minimal events, and you're going to want to be playing more characters, because especially with like Doflamingo, you're putting out cards sideways. You're putting out cards rested. with Bone Clay, you can't even effectively use that, and you're also putting down the cards that you just stacked in your favor away. The other thing that it's going to protect you against is Bartholomew Makuma, which, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, return it to the top or bottom in any order. There's a lot of utility with this card. Do you really want to be putting 2 Dawn to be taken out of 5k? Sometimes that's the right move. I'm not saying that it's bad. If there's only one thing that has a 5k on the board, what are you doing, man? You might as well be using something else. Then you have Jinbei. On play, place up to 1 character with a cost of 3 or less at the bottom of your owner's deck. It's a trigger card. You can play this card. Most of the time, it's going to be putting something like, let's say, a Zoro back. If you're going against red, it's a really good card in a lot of different circumstances. The only issue is that it's not played in every single blue deck, but it is a card. It's one of the flex spots in blue because it is one of the only removal cards in blue currently. You have Alvida. For the most part, people are playing it for the 2k counter. Cost 2, 3k. 1 Dawn. When attacking, trash 1 card from your hand, then return up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 3 or less to their owner's hand. It can be oppressive, but for the most part, I just prefer to have the 2k counter in hand, not be putting their stuff back, because there's a lot of times when you're not going to be putting anything back, and a lot of things within this range, the 3 cost or less range, have on-play effects. And then you have Miss All Sunday, which is a staple in the blue-purple crocodile, but it is not really all that great in a lot of other stuff. Mostly due to the fact that on KO, if your leader has the Baroque Works type, add up to 1 event card from your trash to your hand. So not a lot of people are playing a ton of events, and the only one really that's playing a ton of events that makes this super good is blue-purple crocodile. And the other thing about it is that it only works with the Baroque type card, so you have to be playing a Baroque Works type character to utilize it. So it makes it so that it is very niche in where you're going to be able to even use this ability. And it costs 3 for a 1k counter with 1k that's a blocker. Even though it has a good ability, it only works with Blue Purple Crocodile. To show off, these are the things that you're most likely to see. And some of these things, like I said, Yamato isn't played in everything. So these are the staples that you're going to see. In purple, you'll see those almost always. You'll see this some of the time. You'll see this some of the time. You'll see Virgo and Bartholomew Makuma. And then for the red, most of these, so flex, so flex spot, staple, flex spot, staple. So even then, you're protecting yourself against generally like 3 cards. So there you go. If you really want to protect yourself against generally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Sorry, no, not Beppo. 9 cards with your Luffy, have at thee. But I don't think it's good. Trash Tuesday, everybody. Alright, so that was the end of the video. I did go to a tournament, so we're going to be seeing what I ended up opening from this tournament. It'll be fun. Hopefully you guys like seeing what tournament cards I'm getting from playing. I'm excited to show you guys. Hopefully it's not the what I hope it's not, but we'll see. We'll see. So 1, 2, 3, boom. Kaido. Now that's a card that you want to see. What he does is end of your turn, add 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck and set as active. So he is ramping you at the end of your turn. He's 8 for 9k. He does not have counter, which makes him, a little harder to use, but pound for pound, good card. Especially if this is one of the cards that makes things like Jack, like I was talking about with Jack, a little more viable because he's constantly ramping you back so you can have your enemy discarding cards the whole time while you're just putting your Dawn back at the end of the turn. That's definitely a good card. That's what you want to see. All right, and then thank you guys so much for taking another look at another Trash Tuesday. I appreciate it. If you could like, subscribe, and ring the bell. I would greatly appreciate it. And be sure to have a janky day. Alright, Grandmaster Jank, out.